Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Madera County Transportation Commission Policy Board. It is June 19th, Wednesday, 3 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have Supervisor Poitras join us online, which means we'll have to do that.
We'll start with a roll call at this time.
Commissioner Poitras?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Here.
Commissioner Ahmed?
Here.
Commissioner Gallegos?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Chair Gonzalez?
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. Next.
Speak loud.
The next item on the agenda is public comment. This time is made available for comments from the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Attention is called to the fact that the board is prohibited by law from taking any substantive action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusions should be drawn if the board does not respond to public comment at this time. It is requested that no comments be made during this period on items that are on today's agenda. Members of the public may comment on any item that is on today's agenda when that item is called. Do we have any public comment? Any online?
We have no hands raised.
Okay, I'll close public comment and move on to item 4, MCTC sitting as the Transportation Policy Committee, transportation consent items. Any commissioners wishing to pull or discuss any items? Seeing none, do we have any public comment? We have none online. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos?
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed?
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras?
He's on mute. There you go.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 5, transportation action discussion items. 5A, public hearing, draft 2025 Federal Transportation Improvement Program, FTIP, draft 22 Regional Transportation Plan Amendment 2, and draft corresponding conformity analysis.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Jeff Finley with MCTC staff. I do have a very brief PowerPoint presentation before we open the public hearing.
Okay.
We can start that.
There we go.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's see. As you mentioned, we are conducting a public hearing for the 2025 FTIP, the 2022 Regional Transportation Plan Amendment 2, and the corresponding conformity analysis. Next slide, please. The FTIP is a comprehensive 4-year transportation spending plan for Madera that lists every transportation project that will receive federal funds or that's subject to a federally required action, such as a review and approval of environmental documents. The projects in the FTIP are developed and updated by MCTC through its member agencies, the 2 cities in the county, and also with Caltrans and other agencies that may have projects within our region. MCT is required to prepare a new FTIP every 2 years, even though it is a 4-year document. So there is overlap and projects do get carried forward into the next FTIP. Next slide, please. As you can see here, the draft FTIP is consistent with all of the local, regional, and state documents that are listed and required here as part of the 2025 FTIP development process. Next, please. The FTIP must by law be financially constrained and include financial plan and demonstrate how the projects can be implemented. Federal and state revenue projections are provided and based on the best available data by Caltrans at the time of publication. Local funds for required matching purposes are also included within each individual project and are programmed as required. Next slide, please. The 2022 RTP Amendment 2 updates projects and financial lists that are consistent with the 2025 FTIP. This is done in conjunction with new federal congestion mitigation and air quality projects and carbon reduction program funds that have been recently awarded. So they're included now in the RTP and in the FTIP, and also some adjustments to other tables that are within the RTP. The corresponding conformity analysis contains a documentation that the 2025 FTIP, the 2022 RTP Amendment 2, meet the air quality conformity requirements for ozone and particulate matter. Next, please. So the air quality conformity is the linkage between air quality and transportation. Federal law requires federal agencies to evaluate whether or not proposed federal actions will conform to or be consistent with the goals of the state implementation plan in non-attainment areas such as we have here in the San Joaquin Valley, and are consistent with air quality standards and do not worsen or delay any air quality improvements. Next, please. The next step after today's public hearing will include MCTC board consideration at the July board meeting. And after that date, we have until September to submit the final document to Caltrans. Next slide, please. All comments received by 5 p.m. today will be addressed in the final documents prior to submission, and you will see those at the July board meeting. And next slide. That concludes my remarks, and we request that the public hearing be held. And I'm also available for any questions.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. Do we have any questions from the commissioners? Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public?
Not online.
Do I have to close it?
Yeah.
Okay, I will close the public hearing and bring it back.
That's it.
That's it, we don't have
You just have the action coming.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 5B, State Legislative Update.
Gus Corey is joining us today. It's a busy 2 weeks in Sacramento, or the past 2 weeks and the 2 weeks coming up, right, Gus? So today he's going to give us a status on the bills, current bills, and some of the future ones to be discussed within the next 2 weeks. And then also a state budget update. And Gus, with that.
Thank you, Director Taylor. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Gus Corey, State Legislative Advocate for MCTC. Pleasure to see you all. As Director Taylor mentioned, it's one of the busiest times of the month as the legislature is still trying to grapple with the state budget, and the policy committee hearings are in full swing with bills being in the second house. So I've been actually texting back and forth with the Pro Tem's office right now just to kind of get a status on where they are with the negotiations. Late last week, they passed Assembly Bill 107, which is the main budget bill. That satisfied the requirement for the legislature to submit a budget to the governor by the May 15th deadline. But the devil's still in the details on a whole list of items. They're dealing with Medi-Cal reimbursement rates, the implications of the California Business Roundtable ballot measure that's scheduled to be on the November ballot. They also minimum wage pay, maybe looking at some kind of reform there with Senate Bill 525. And so what's getting caught up with that is some of the items that we care about. And that's in the May revise, Governor Newsom had proposed that there be a $600 million cut to the active transportation program. That would impact Cycle 6 projects that have already been awarded and the prospective award for any Cycle 7 projects as well. Thankfully, the speaker and the pro tem had rejected the cuts, but it's still part of the negotiation because the governor can still technically go through and line item veto amounts on programs of his choosing. So they're trying to hold firm there. Typically, when there's a big three negotiation, meaning it's the speaker, the pro tem, and the governor, that if 2 out of the 3 agree, that deal usually sticks. And so we're hoping that that precedent kind of carries forward with active transportation. Same thing on the transit and intercity rail capital program. So this is also known by the acronym of TIRCIP. This is where our local transit operators, or even for rail projects, we can apply to the California State Transportation Agency for capital funding. The governor had proposed a $148 million cut to the program, and the speaker and the pro tem had rejected that. So we're thankful for that. With respect to housing, the Regional Early Action Planning Grants, REAP 2.0, Governor Newsom back in January had proposed a $300 million cut to the program, which was a 50% reduction. And we made a really good case to the administration that if they did that, given that this is a program that's supposed to reimburse local jurisdictions for sticking their neck out and getting into contractual agreements with developers and other entities, the Housing Community Development Agency as well. The leadership, the speaker and the pro tem said, we're going to restore $250 million out of the $300 million. So it's about a $50 million cut. So we're hoping that that deal sticks as well. So those are sort of the main items. The Senate Bill 125 funds, which you received your proportional shares in MPO, that appears to be safe. All 3 leaders are saying no cuts to that. So whatever allocation you're planning on making, I think you should have confidence that that number will stick. The only catch right now is there was a delay in when Cal Estate would cut the checks, and that's they wanted to delay the distribution of $2.4 billion from the program out of the 5.1, and that was because they're trying to look for cash flow relief in the current year. So that money will start to flow, we believe, after the start of the next fiscal year, which starts on July 1st. And so that's a snapshot of the state budget. On the legislative front, we're playing a lot of defense per usual, and we were very successful with our opposition to Assembly Bill 6. So Assembly Bill 6 would have really given the Air Resources Board carte blanche in selecting projects and what qualifies for funding through the various state programs and in constructing your sustainable community strategy. It wouldn't have mattered whether or not if you have CEQA and NEPA clearance on your project, the ARB could discount that fact as you're looking to pursue state funding. And even with our measure, being a smaller county, we're making investments on state assets. And so it's critical that we continue to leverage state funding for those purposes. And thankfully, the author, Assemblymember Friedman, who's the former chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee, withdrew the bill last Monday. She can still technically bring it up until July 1st, before the July 3rd deadline. But we're confident that that bill's dead. Another bill, Assembly Bill 2535, authored by Assemblymember Mia Bonta, who represents the Port of Oakland. She was attempting to take the Trade Corridor Enhancement Program, which is the largest competitive program administered by the California Transportation Commission. This is where we can get funding for State Route 99 because we run a lot of goods movement, even for passenger/freight rail. And she wanted to take half of the money. It later was amended down, but half of the money for port infrastructure. And so it would have reduced the capacity and made it just very difficult in order for us to acquire, revenue. And thankfully, we were able to defeat that bill in the Assembly Appropriations Committee late last month. And so happy to take any comments or questions with respect to the state budget or any other item on the legislative matrix. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gus. Do we have any commissioners with questions, comments? See none. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No hands are raised on mine.
Okay, well, thank you, Gus. Appreciate the update.
Thank you, Chair.
Next item on the agenda, item 5C, award contract, Madera County Regional Growth Forecast. And I'm gonna turn this now.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This item is to award a contract for the Madera County Regional Growth Forecast Project. The Regional Growth Forecast is a demographic study to collect data towards updates to the region's travel demand model. This model is a key tool used for developing the Madera County Regional Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy. We received 3 proposals. After reviewing and scoring the proposals, the evaluation committee and staff recommend that a contract be awarded to PlaceWorks. It is recommended that the board authorize staff to negotiate an agreement in an amount not to exceed $65,000. This project is already included in the budget and uses SB1 grant planning funds. I can answer any questions.
Questions, comments from the commissioners? Online?
No, there are no hands raised.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none. I think I asked that actually, sorry. I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
So move to approve 5C as presented.
We have a first and a second roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
yes,
Commissioner Gallegos,
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
thank you. Item 5D, award contract, 2026 Sustainable Communities Strategies Development.
Yes, this item is to award a contract for the 2026 Sustainable Community Strategy Development. The Sustainable Community Strategy, or SCF, Development Update Project is a multi-year project that will comprehensively approach establishing a robust planning document with the goal of fulfilling the requirements of Senate Bill 375 for the SCS as a component of the Regional Transportation Plan and adhere to the 2024 RTP guidelines for consultation and coordination and the SCS program and evaluation guidelines, which outline how the California Air Resources Board evaluates SCSs. We received 3 proposals. After reviewing and scoring the proposals, the evaluation committee and staff recommend that a contract be awarded to LSA Associates, Inc. It is recommended that the board authorize staff to negotiate an agreement in amount not to exceed $456,000. This project is already included in the budget and uses SB1 grant planning funds. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the commission? Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
So move to approve 5D as presented.
Second.
First and a second, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
yes,
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
thank you. Thank you, Troy. MCTC sitting as the Madera County Transportation Commission, item 6, reaffirm all actions taken while sitting as the Transportation Policy Committee. Motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not have any hands raised online.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
yes,
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, administrative consent items.
Move to approve. I'll second.
We have first and a second. Any public comment on this item? No, we're on item 7.
We do not have any online.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
yes,
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you. Administrative action items, there are none, so we will go into MCTC sitting as the Madera County 2006 Transportation Authority. Administrative consent items. Any items the commissioners wish to pull or discuss? Any public comment on this item?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have first and a second, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 10A, consider adoption, second reading of an ordinance to renew Measure T sales tax before the Madera County 2006 Transportation Authority, ordinance number 2024-01.
Thank you. And this item is to consider the adoption of the ordinance 2024-01, which renews the Measure T sales tax for a period of 20 years. Previously, the expenditure plan and the first was approved, and the first reading of the ordinance occurred on June 12th at the special meeting. Staff recommends that the second reading of the ordinance be waived and the ordinance be adopted. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions, comments from the commission? Any public comment on this item?
Yes, we did receive one written comment. It was submitted in Spanish and then translated into English. Says, good afternoon, my name is Esther and I have been a resident of La Vina for over 20 years. These are my comments on Measure T. I would like them to put more routes to town with buses. We have appointments and can't go to our appointments. If you have your appointments at 8 in the morning, you wouldn't be able to get the bus to arrive earlier. Funds for disadvantaged communities are too few. The funds are not enough to cover the bus routes nor to fix the roads or sidewalks. They say there's not enough use of the buses, but there is not enough use because the buses cannot be used. If you spend too much time getting your errands done, then you can't get back on the bus and you'll be stuck in town. For these reasons, I ask that we continue working on Measure T so that there can be improvements in public transportation and so that there are more benefits in communities like La Vina. We are people too, don't abandon us.
Thank you, and we will add that to the record. Any other public comments?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Mike Estrada. I'm part of the steering committee that developed this. There was a couple questions that had been brought up to me regarding disadvantaged community. And as I said, well, I was one of the ones that brought it up. You know, so because everybody was represented from the mountains, the hills, and so we all had the same philosophy. We wanted transparency. We wanted more stuff for our communities. So by broadening up by disadvantaged community, instead of just having it based on economics, we opened it up to maybe if it's along 99 and there's a noise and pollution, maybe, you know, that was our philosophy, is to open it up as disadvantaged community. Don't base it on just one factor of economics, base it on multi factors. So that's how we came to that as a group. If there's any other questions, I'll be more than, you know, so we sat down and we agreed, you know, people that may live in trailer parks or, you know, down by the river, you know, they technically they're not economically down there, but they may need a little help with maybe some pathways or you know, maybe a senior community. So that's the way we were thinking when we put this into Measure T. So I just want to clarify it. You know, it's, as I was telling everybody, this is just one part of a tool that, you know, the Measure T will help, you know, because the county works with multi-funds. This will just be a tool for you guys to work with. Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrea Uribe. I'm policy advocate for Madera County, and I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to comment, and the opportunity to be here. And thank you, sir, for also bringing up the definition of the disadvantaged communities. As many of you know, I work closely with communities in Pyramid and La Vina, and I think it's exactly because I also understand the spirit in which the set aside for disadvantaged communities was put there and why communities advocated so hard, whether it's communities in Lavina, Fairmead, Parksdale, or in other areas of Madera County, the funds are needed. And I would just like to see that the language in the measure and the way that the measure will be used to back this intent and this spirit up. I understand that Madera County is going to be the first county to put a set aside. So I would just like it there to be enough funds and for the language to be clear that these funds will be used to help the most impacted communities. Because I understand that this was the spirit. However, some of the tools that are currently there are broad and do leave space for other communities that are not as disadvantaged as some of the other communities we're working with. Additionally, other comments that have been brought up is that there would like to be a clause in the measure to ensure that these funds will not go towards newer development communities, that they will go to existing communities, and that they will be used for if the funds are going to be set aside for the local transport category to stay there. I think right now it says that they can be used for regional funds as well if the boards decide to pull funds from there. And additionally, I did help Mrs. Stepp submit that comment for today. And I'd just like to point out that, like, even for the bus system to help in this public process, if residents from Lavina wanted to come today, they'd be able to come here. However, there wouldn't be a bus back. Additionally, like if they wanted to come in online, their like internet connection is very poor. So that's why I think it's important for us to continue to work and reach out to disadvantaged communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
There's a hand raised online.
Okay.
Have I been called on?
Yes, go ahead, Kendall.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify a couple things. One, any new development community, anytime there's a new development community that comes in, they're responsible for preparing for and providing for roads within that community, which is why so many of the newer communities in the county have what's called mellow roost districts, where they're paying for their own road maintenance and whatnot. So I want to assure everyone that that is not the case. These are basically set up for local streets and roads that are existing at this point, and not for new construction. Also, just want to assure people that when we are talking about the regional projects, both the county, the city of Madera, and the city of Chowchilla pointed out that in the context of what we consider a local road, just as a reminder, in some of our areas, the local road is a connector or an arterial, a larger road that connects a community. So it was very important to the steering committee and also to the jurisdictions to make sure that we gave flexibility. And to be clear, the board would not make that choice. The board would not say we're going to take money from a local jurisdiction and put it in a regional category. The local jurisdiction would request that funds be allocated for a regional project if they thought it was in the best interests of their community. And I really want to thank Leadership Council for their suggestion about increasing that window of opportunity to comment on this to at least 30 days. So when the local jurisdictions are thinking about these changes, the public would be made aware of that. And the reason it was written in that way is because we did have some larger projects, bridges, other infrastructure that may need some local money and some regional money, but that will be entirely up to the local jurisdiction following a good public outreach process. So again, do believe that this has been great. I want to thank Mike Estrada for coming today as well, but really these decisions were vetted by the steering committee to ensure the maximum flexibility for the local community benefit. Just want to make sure everybody remembers that. Also just like to remind the board that of the elected officials in Madera County, that we only had one elected official that did not vote in favor of putting us on the ballot. So we hope that the board is happy with this process and really give a shout out to the steering committee for all the hard work they put in. I will say it was challenging and spirited discussions, and we do appreciate their time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kendall. Anyone else? No, I'll bring it back to the commission for action or.
To waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance.
Just to clarify the language that we need to list the ordinance by number 2024-01.
Yes.
We have first
Second.
and a second, roll call vote, please.
Sorry, who was the first? Okay, and the second?
Commissioner Gallego.
Thank you.
Did that motion suffice though?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
thank you. Item 10B, request call for a special election to be consolidated with the general election by the Board of Supervisors and request extension of the authority's term, resolution 2024-02.
Yes, included in the packet is the resolution 2024-02 regarding the renewal of the Measure T sales tax. Staff recommends approval of the resolution 2024-02. Upon approval, the resolution takes the following actions. Request the Madera County Board of Supervisors to call for a special election on a retail transaction and use tax ordinance. Request the Madera County Board of Supervisors to consolidate the special election request with the statewide general election to be held on November 5th, 2024. Request the extension of the Madera County 2006 Transportation Authority and approves the ballot question. The ballot question is currently proposed as follows. To keep local streets, highways, infrastructure in good repair, fix potholes, pave local streets, improve highway safety, evacuation routes, emergency vehicle access, retrofit older bridges, overpasses, qualify for matching funds, require 80% of funds for local roads, shall an ordinance be adopted continuing Madera County's voter-approved half-cent sales tax without increasing the tax rate, renewing 22 million annually for 20 years, starting in 2027, with citizen oversight, audits, public spending disclosure, and all money staying local. Staff recommends approval, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Charlie. Questions, comments from the commissioners? Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not have any online.
Okay, I will close public comment and bring it back to the commission for action.
Move to approve resolution 2024-02.
I'll second.
We have first and a second, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
thank you. Item 10C, amend contract Measure T sales tax extension, public outreach and education.
Yes, after the following actions, this item is to amend the previously approved contract with DKS Associates for the Measure T sales tax extension, public outreach and education project. The public outreach work performed by DKS Associates helped the steering committee develop the draft 2024 expenditure plan. Phase 2 of the public outreach and education project is now needed to further provide outreach and education to the public regarding Measure T. DKS Associates has submitted a budget amendment detailing the tasks to be completed, including presentations at various community-based and other interested organizations and locations, fact-based materials provided to the local news media, development of social media posts, attendance at MCTA board meetings with regular updates, attending various POP events throughout the county, development of bilingual collateral materials, maintenance and updates to the Measure T 2024 website, and presentation at local agencies. Staff is recommending approval to add $150,000 to the contract to help complete these tasks and activities. I can answer any questions.
Any questions, comments from the commission? Do we have any public comment on this item?
Not having any online.
Okay, I'll close public comment and bring it back for action.
I move to approve and comment.
Okay,
Second that.
we have a first, and you want to do your comment?
No, I'll do a comment now. I think that DKS has done an excellent job thus far, and I feel that the expenditure of the extra funds are warranted to seal the deal, as it were. We need to make every effort to make sure the public knows what this measure means. The truth is getting out there, and that needs to happen. So thank you.
Thank you. So we have a first and a second roll call vote.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed?
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos?
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Next item 11, miscellaneous items from staff.
Yes, I just have one item, and that item is CalCog has a program for leaders. It's a leadership program called California's Regional Leaders Academy. And we had a staff member, Evelyn. Is she here today? Oh, Evelyn. And she successfully graduated from the program. It's a 7-month program. And she was actively involved, participating at every single meeting and conference, and highly engaged. And she went through the process over last week with Troy attending to watch her graduate from the program.
Nice.
Troy is also a graduate of the same program, and we have an applicant that we are submitting for this year, and that will be Natalia, will be hopefully entering into the program. So this is a great way to network, meet your peers, learn about what's going on in California as well as transportation equality and alike, any kind of similar challenges that we all experience in any kind of similarities, and work with each other and share stories, ideas, thoughts, and innovations. So we are excited that she has graduated.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. Items from Caltrans.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission. I also attended that graduation. Congratulations. They didn't let me in the program for some reason. It was a great event. It's part of our California Education Foundation that helps like all the work. There's a lot of great work with college students and scholarship programs. So it was a great event to attend. Updates on Clean California, as I've reported in the past, again, the fiscal year that Clean California program is unfortunately going to sunset, but I did want to congratulate City of Madera. They had a ribbon cutting this weekend. Sorry I was able to attend. I heard there was like jogging involved, right? 3-mile trail run. I was like, no, now it's hot. But great project. So congratulations for that. We're having our last dump day, which would be, it's been a very popular location out on Route 41 and Avenue 11. That'll be our last free dump day this Saturday at 9 a.m. So I encourage you to take advantage of that one last time. In terms of grants, a lot of activity on the federal side. We're partnering with in the Madera region. I'll say Madera 41 South Project submitted a project for what they call the MCTC program, multimodal project discretionary grant program. And then also another grant was submitted for the Madera High Speed Rail Amtrak relocation. As some of you are aware, ATP Cycle 7, those applications were due June 17th. And so I think a lot of agencies, a lot of work to get a fresh breath and moving on to the next grant program. So I would encourage your teams, that we've been reaching out to them to apply for the HSIP program, which is Cycle 12. There's about $300 million available. So if any of your agencies are looking to do any kind of safety projects in their communities, feel free to reach out to me or my team. My staff's very happy. I have an HSIP manager who coordinates that program, which is happy to sit down with the team to talk about applications if interested. Also, last week we had our virtual workshops for the
Mike,
9-9.
What was the name
of that? It's called HSIP. It's Highway Safety Improvement Program, Cycle 12. Applications are due in September, so you do have time, but been very successful in doing like safety enhancements. I'm sure the City of Madera team is very familiar with it, but we're happy to sit down with them and discuss any potential applications. They can be on the highway system or off the highway system on local roads. Thank you. So we've been sending out information on that. Last week, so we continue to work on the State Route 99 Comprehensive Multimodal Corridor Plan. We're almost halfway through. We're in our public engagement period right now where we're conducting 8 virtual workshops this month. So we did 4 in District 6. So we did the southern part of the district down in Kern, Tulare region a couple weeks ago. This past week, it was focused more on Fresno, Madera. So collecting feedback, we do plan to probably follow up with some surveys for all the stakeholders that weren't able to attend. We have a pretty robust stakeholder list. And now they're moving up to the northern part of the district, or northern part of the valley, as I mentioned, is going from the Grapevine all the way to Sacramento US 50. So tomorrow night they'll be conducting one for Sacramento County region. And then next week they'll be doing one. We're gonna do 3 nights in a row of Merced, Stanislaus, San Joaquin jointly to collect feedback from the community members.
once we have that, we'll take the information, the preliminary work we've done, and then we'll start compiling hopefully like a solutions report. And we think we'll be ready probably August, September for sharing of how that CMCP is progressing. South Madera 6-lane project from Avenue 7 to Avenue 12. Still in design on that project. That project is scheduled for construction fall 2025. Had a question earlier about the palm and the pine tree in the median, what's going to happen to those. And so we are going to have to not relocate, but remove them. To mitigate for that, what we're doing is we're acquiring some property on the west side of 99, that same area, where we're going to replant 15 palm trees and 15 pine trees and drill a well for irrigation. So it would mitigate for visual aesthetics for that. North Madera 6-lane project, so that's Avenue 17, Avenue 12. That's the project that was in the STIP this past year to fund the environmental phase. So we anticipate having our kickoff meeting this summer to get working on the environmental document for that project. So we're going to have conversations with MCTC, city and county about potential, looking at DMT, et cetera, about how we can mitigate through van-borne transit like we've been doing with other projects, and accommodating the input from the comprehensive multimodal corridor plan that's looking at things like managed lane strategies. The downtown Madera project is the rehab and complete streets project. Still working on design, still scheduled to finish design by and have it ready to advertise this December, with construction starting the following summer. State Route 99233 interchange project. That project is still in right of way in design. We submitted some bridge submittals for the project to headquarters. That's kind of a longer lead project with target construction or advertising spring of 2026. If you've driven 99 south of here, you've seen that the Cottonwood Creek Bridge replacement project still under construction. Traffic is shifted over to the southbound direction. That project is on schedule for completion spring of this year, or spring of next year, sorry, spring 2025. I mentioned earlier about Madera South Expressway, Madera 41. So that's one we're continuing to coordinate with the County of Madera and working on different grant applications to fully fund that project. The last application I submitted, I mentioned, was MPDG for the rural category, and we're expecting announcements for that probably this fall. And I think the last project, so Chowchilla Rehab Project, we've done some public meetings out there, talk about the rehab and the complete streets projects where we're doing. I think we're seeing about a little over $6 million in IHA funds for complete streets and safety and broadband work. So we're doing class 2 bike lanes, ADA ramps, bulb outs, etc. We'll work on environmental. We hope to have environmental phase completed August of this year. And that completes my updates. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions? No? All right, thank you very much. And last item from the commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Rodriguez.
Well, we do have an event coming up here in July. This is the 4th of July fireworks spectacular at the Madera District Fair. So for all of you that are within the county or proximity, come on out. It's a very controlled area for free parking, admission, a lot of vendors out there, and then you'll have a spectacular show. It'll be at 9. So bring your lawn chairs, have fun. Love to see you guys out there. That's all I have. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Commissioner Ahmed.
I've got nothing to report.
Commissioner Gallegos.
I just wanted to thank Caltrans. I was out there at the ribbon cutting on our trail for Clean California, and we had a lot of runners out there. It was kind of cool, so we could have seen you out there. It wasn't really hot, and we had fruits and waters, and a lot of your team showed up. So thank you for having them out there with us that day. That's all, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Rogers.
Nothing to report.
And Commissioner Poitras.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just like to mention I had a chance to participate along with Janice Gomes last week in the SR multimodal corridor plan and public comments, and I thought it was a good session. It was Georgina Vivian with VRPA was kind of coordinating the session, and there was a lot of you could provide input based on the chat box and a few things like that. But they've also reached out, the people coordinating the comments, that if you, they provided an email address. There's a hotline of all things that you can leave a message on. And also they're willing to meet individually with people who are willing to or wish to make more comments in regards to the plan on SR 99. So I would encourage my colleagues to do so. And I believe that staff and perhaps Michael can provide that contact information, the email address, the phone number, and then again, the opportunity to comment individually. This is really important to us. And I think as stakeholders and electeds, it's important that especially we step up and provide that input. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're happy to come, if you'd like to do like a presentation for this body or any of your boards or councils. We're happy to come out, have staff come out. We're looking for additional engagement opportunities. And the hotline reads directly to my personal phone, so just don't feel free to call. They were recorded, and what we're working on now is establishing like a website so we can load all this information on there, the reports, the deliverables, the materials for review, and the recordings of the engagement session. So to have that available soon as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Closed session, there is none. And so with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Anybody?